Confidence in the Commanders was commonplace.
What's y'all's thoughts about the game today?
It's a W.
We're cooking up these Eagles. We're going to take care of them today. Commanders all day, baby. Let's go.
They have no idea what's coming for them.
Eagles, baby, let's go!
And for a while, the home team more than held its own. But reality set in, as it almost always does.
Disappointing, more so than anything else. You know, these guys came out and played hard. We gave ourselves opportunities.
After the game, one more met dash, a chance to hail the victors on their way out of town.
And y'all sprinted for those buses, didn't
We
you?
love our Eagles. We love our Eagles. We love our Eagles.
Listen, we like y'all hospitality.
Yes, thank
we
you.
appreciate y'all.
Yes.
Y'all always are kind to us.
What went well and what went wrong and why? And moving on to New England.
Our focus is we got 9 games left to play. We're playing one at a time. We're focusing on what's coming up next.
On this Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus.
The man
Call somebody.
is back,
Call
y'all.
somebody.
We're
He's
back.
back. Call
He's
your
back.
mama, call your
We're
daddy.
back and we're back.
We're back.
Tony McGee,
He's back, y'all.
We're back. Tony
Hey.
McGee. Come on.
Tony McGee, Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee, Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee, Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee.
What's up?
Welcome to Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus. Now, you know, around the town, I've been hearing individual fans saying, oh, that wasn't a bad game. I've been hearing players taking pictures and everything. Now, I don't know about anybody else. I played 14 years, and I've never been a part of a good loss. It was a loss to one of the better teams, but all in all, it was a loss. And we did improve somewhat, but one thing I can tell you, if you're going to be in the class with the Eagles, you're going to have to fly high. So what did we do? We brought one in. My first person that I will introduce this week, I'm talking about the Quick, the Bike Quick. What's happening, man? Welcome back to the show. Now, you know, you got to represent. You got to tell me about your boys. What can we do to beat them next time? We won't tell them that you told us. Just let us know, okay? So then, if I bring Mike Quick back, I got to bring the G-man in. G, we got to talk about these wide receivers. Saw some drop balls on Sunday. I tell you, it bothers me a little bit. And Alex, what about the running game? You start the season or you start the game and you pass 3 or 4 times. But at the same time, Solomon, you know that offensive line can't handle it. So we got a lot of things to talk about. Let's get to it right away. I'm coming right back to you, Donna. Why do you open the game with 3 passes?
Hey, Tony, I'm not upset about the 3 passes opening up the game because I think that they were effective because the offense came out hot. So when you look at the offensive line, I want to talk a little bit about the offensive line because the Commanders ended up shifting the offensive line a little bit. Chris Paul was one of the guys that they brought in this past week and inserted in that offensive line as far as the right guard. And then Tyler Lawrence at the center position, he played some the other year. And when you look at the offensive line, by far in the last few weeks, this is the best they looked in a long time. So the Commanders was moving the ball, Tony. I know you want them to run the ball, and they did. I mean, Brian Robinson had that 20-some yard touchdown early in the first quarter. So, you know, this is an offense that they've got to take what the Eagles are giving them. That middle of the field was wide open for Sam to connect there. So again, Tony, I know you want them to run the ball a lot more, but you got to take what is working at that moment, and Philadelphia was leaving them wide open in that middle. So come on, Tony.
Now, we're going to do a little thing. We're not going to go all offense here. I may jump in, Mike, and ask you something about the defense, even though you didn't play defense. So we're going to have a little fun with this. We're not going to be scripted. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to keep it real. That's what the fans want. So I'm getting right down to the offensive line. Alex, they put 2 people in there. Should they keep them in? Was it improvement? Or was the offense designated to make those short passes like runs? Anytime you got a running back to click off a 29-yard run, then you go right back to the passing. That tells me you don't have a lot of confidence in your run.
Tony, offensive line played much better. Sam Howell had been sacked in record rates the first 6 weeks or so. 1 sack Sunday against Philadelphia. Obviously, a very good football team with a very good front four on defense. Offensive line played better. Why they didn't run as much? We talk about that every week, okay? Well, that's an every week thing, okay? They scored 31 points. Any team in America, if you said, how'd you like to score 31 every Sunday? Every team would take 31. Problem is they gave up 38. So to nitpick about the running game and all this, they scored 31. Offense did their thing. Offensive line was much better. How much that change helped, who knows? How much of this was scheme, kind of the styles make fights thing. For whatever reason, they played well against the Philadelphia Eagles. They just don't win well against the Philadelphia Eagles. They did it last year at the Link when Philly was undefeated. They've come this close twice this year. Close doesn't count. I think the offensive line, if we were to list the 10 most important things in that football game, offensive line isn't one of them. I mean, the offense, they were fine. Defense, not so much.
So, Mike,
and
I know
Tony,
you
the
played
offensive line gave a sack until late in the third quarter. First time in a long
I'm not going to go there because you got to look at the first half. At the end of the first half, Washington had 119 yards, where the Eagles only had 49. So that's why I'm coming to Mike quick right now. I know you were one of the outstanding wide receivers in the league, but as you can look at the defense, did it appear to you on Sunday as you watched that game that Washington's offense kind of confused your defense a little bit early in the game?
I thought Washington's offense had a great game plan going into the game. Now, for me, for Eric Bieniemy to start out the way he started the game just tells me that he really understands this defense that he was playing against yesterday, attacking them in the short passing game, as Donna said, in the middle of the field, and getting the ball out of Sam Howell's hands as quickly as they got it. The ball was coming out probably in less than 2 seconds. The ball came out of his hands real fast. To me, that's a smart game plan. The guy had been sacked 40 times coming into this game. How many times are you going to allow him to just get hit that way? Coming into the game, I really thought that the Eagles could take advantage of an offensive line that's given up a lot of sacks. I know Wiley had given up sacks. Shadiq Charles hasn't been playing the way he played earlier in his career. I just thought that the offensive line, they were going to be easy. They played really good football. You talked about that one run down the right side that Robinson had. That was a good run, but I don't think they would have made a living. They would have played as well, banging their heads against the wall, running against this Eagles front. I just think that the Eagles front, they're really good in stopping the run. But the way to attack them, in my mind, is the way that Bieniemy went about attacking them. And I thought as soon as they got on the Eagles side of the field, they were looking to attack and throw the ball into the end zone, and it worked. You know, the first play to Scary Terry down the left side, they came back later in the game and tried to do it again, but the Eagles were able to stop it. But to me, I thought the game plan was really good. And again, I go back to what Alex said. They scored 31 points. You score 31 points in this league, you should be able to win games.
Well, I tell you what now, jumping back to our offense a little bit, G, this is the first time I had to talk to you about this because they've been pretty sure they've been one facet of the team that's done well. But on Sunday, I saw a few balls drop. I saw bad throws too, but I saw a few balls drop. But to me, the one thing they did not do, they did a little bit early. They got to let everybody know Scary Terry is the one. They always see him early. They want to go to Dobson and other people. But I think you should establish him early in the game, especially if you're not going to run.
Well, you know, Tony, like anything else, it comes back down to the quarterback and then what he's seeing on the field in each route. Typically when you got the type of receivers that Washington do have, because they are a really good receiving corps, the four can catch the rock really well. So I'm thinking he's really going down and looking at his checks down. Who is open? He's throwing those people the ball. Terry's always going to get the ball eventually. It's just part of the game plan because eventually he's going to break down whatever type of coverage you have against him. He's going to dissect it and to find a way to get open, as he did in the game. He found ways to get open. He probably had a couple of drops, but what receiver hasn't? I mean, I guarantee you, he's had less drops than I had at the same time in his career. I had a lot more drops than Terry has in his career to this day. So that's going to happen. But again, like if you score 31 points, you can't really. You're never going to be able to fault the offense for scoring 31 points because he's just supposed to score 18 points or more, and they did. So, I mean,
well, I'll tell you, they did well, but at the same time, I saw where they didn't score the 31 they needed to, but at the same time, they stayed within the body of the game, and it seemed like mistakes in the end really hurt them. But now let's jump a little bit, Big Zoe. If you talk about it, when you saw them trying to run the ball, because you watch years, you always watch the line and everything. Was our line getting really aggressive, or were they playing on their side of the ball? When I say their side of the ball, were they getting pushed back?
As far as the defensive line, Pops, or
the offensive line?
Actually, the offensive line, I'm like, Alex, I agree. They stood up pretty good. I want to say it was more NYP this time, know your personnel. So I want to say actually Bieniemy was actually had him doing plays that got the ball out of his hand kind of fast, check downs, or actually getting it off right away. But the line actually held up pretty good. They actually, because they got two boys on that other side that's clearly 6'8", 300 pounds. And the fact that Robinson was able to break off a pretty big run, that lets me know the offensive line did improve from last week. But the biggest thing this week, well, I feel it came down to is skill and coaching. My father could tell you I'm a 6'7" forward, so I played against people that was my height, or I played against people that was 6'10". Some games it was just a battle of the will, but then some games it came down to skill, and my father would be like, "That guy's about 7 feet." So it's some things that he's just able to do right now that you can't do at 6'7". I feel like that's what the game was yesterday. It came down to skill, where their corners could not keep up with one receiver. Or vice versa, one broken play call where you leave one of their wide receivers wide open, that's coaching. So it really came down, because we played a great game, but it really came down to skill and coaching to me at the end.
Well, Dom,
Tony, Tony, also comes down to them learning how to finish games also. It's a
there
a couple
you go.
Of places. Hey, if you don't finish games, Tony, you don't win games. And they proved that by not finishing that game against the Eagles, they didn't come out as the winners. And we talked about drop passes. You just got to go on and call it out. Terry is not like him to drop 2 back-to-back balls that literally he said that he should have caught. But Tony, on 4th and 1, second quarter, this Commander team is not good enough to pass up points. They had an opportunity, and I know you're going to say, I understand why they didn't go for the field goal. But for a team like the Commanders, you can't leave points off the board. That's 3 points. And because they went to that 4th and 1, did not get it, could have kicked the field goal, Philadelphia ends up going down the field and score after that. So my thing is, you've got to be able to put points on the board, because this team, again, is not good enough to walk away from points.
And you made a great point there. More than even the points, they can't walk away from the morale, I hope, that would make them feel like the momentum that they were starting to gather. They garnered a lot of it, and then they got down there, and they're going to go big time 4th and 1, where on every running play prior to that, they didn't even get a yard. So they should have took the 3 points. I agree with you totally on that. But at the same time, Donna, didn't you see an improvement in this offense by them throwing the short passes? Now, we only got a minute or so, but I want you to tell me, where did you see the improvement? You've been to each and every game. To me, the offense was better because of the short passes, but overall, we still haven't gotten to that running game, but you did see some improvement. Anytime your quarterback after the first quarter could be 10 for 11, you're doing something right.
Tony, I'm not going to beat the running game in the head this time, because
you got to, Donna. You got to.
Well, no, I can't, Tony, because the passing game was on point. Again, went back and said, Mike and everybody said, this is where they exposed the Philadelphia Eagles. The game plan was perfect because they got what hurts them more. Now, I can't understand, on the defensive side, some of the things that they did, but I think offensively, they doubted at the way they were supposed to, Tony. And as we take this break, Tony, as you always say, let's go to the locker room to hear what the players had to say. Even Terry, he's taken responsibility, Tony, for those drop passes that would have kept the chain moving forward for the Commanders in a crucial time?
We just didn't make the plays necessary to win the game. Myself starts with that for me. Those are plays that I make. Tough plays or not, you got to make those plays. So.
Could you take us through those two plays a little bit?
Yeah, we had a third down, a little out route, like a deep corner, I would say. And I was just taking it high, and the ball was where it was, and I still feel like I could have had it. You know what I mean? So you just look at it. I feel like maybe I could have slowed down a little bit more in the zone. Maybe that's why Sam was trying to stop me with the ball a little bit. But at the end of the day, I got to make that in the second one. Kind of similar. I have an in route, but it's kind of like a soft part of the zone. And, if I could maybe give him a little bit better clean body language, then he can drive the ball a little bit better. And even still, both of them within my reach. So I just got to be better. I'm going to be better for that.
I really want to give a props to the O-line. We can't do it without those guys. It starts up front with those guys, and they held it down today. That's why we were able to have some success down the field.
Hey, Chris, when you look at this game today, could you assess just the play of this offensive line and just how you were able to be more solid today?
Definitely, I believe I'll go back to what I said earlier, in that we started fast and we went out there with the intention to hit them first, to strike them first, to set the tone first, to be the thermostat instead of the thermometer.
Because we keep having these one-score games come down to the wire, and we look back on it, and there's a moment in the game where we just flinch, right? The whole team, we flinch. And in this league, you can't do that. If you want to be a great team, you can't blink, you can't flinch. You got to play 4 quarters every snap, every down, like it's your last. And that's what separates the good teams and the great teams. You don't flinch. You make plays when you need them. We were literally seemed like we're one play away, 2 games in a row. Eagles game, the first one. So we gotta just capitalize on those opportunities, and when our best is needed, we gotta be at our best.
What disappoints you most about today?
Losing. I hate to lose. Especially when I feel like we was in a great situation, great position, just take off on those guys and pull out the win. So just not finishing, allowing them to gain the momentum back and just take over the game. It's very disappointing.
Next!
Well, what were some of the positives, even though you all didn't get to win, what's some of the positives that you can take away?
We came out hot. I like that. We came out leading. There was a lot of games, like we consistently always trail at half. This time we came out, we put points, we made our field goal. I mean, 61 yard we made a field goal. We had some turnover. We stopped their tush push. Everyone was like, oh, how do you stop it? You know what I'm saying? We stopped it. They fumbled it. We recovered it. There was a lot of great things in this game. Nice about how consistent can we be to do that every single week, So they're a great team. We gave them one hell of a fight. So if we can take that same fight and apply it next week when we play other teams, come back from trailing and all that stuff, and this is where we need to maybe work a little bit on, those last couple of series, straining, finishing, keeping that same energy that we came out with, to really put them out the game, not even give them a chance to come back, It's really hard. I mean, if you're losing by 2+ scores, it's hard for another team to consistently offense come out and be like, okay, we're gonna try to put some points, trying to put some points. But if you always give them a chance and they score and then the game is tied, or you always got a chance to score a little bit, you always give them life. You got to take that life away fast.
Honestly, just
it could be frustrating sometimes, but, I just show up to work to get better each day and just try to keep a clear head and go into each game with a clear head and make plays. He's just real good at the catch point, and, just got to be stronger at the catch point.
Now, we always come back and we talk a little bit about defense. We do the offense first. We think they've improved. Now, the defense, yes, second half they played a little better, but the first half, the Eagles were able to do what they wanted to, and they went up and down the field. If it weren't for a couple of fumbles, which they did create, and Sweat got his usual sack, Payne delivered a little pain, but at the same time, I'm still not happy, guys. This is a defense that everybody talked about. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to Philadelphia's offensive genius and ask them, when you come into and they tell you about the Washington team, you start thinking about a defensive line that can dominate a game by themselves. Am I true, Mike? And did you see that on Sunday?
So it's without question that's the first thing that you think about. You think about Sweat, Payne, John Allen, Young, all these dudes, and the layers, they go deep. But I don't think that they had the impact on the game that they should have had. And even, other games, I just think with the pedigree that these guys have, they should be more disruptive. I think they're great players, but I don't understand why you're not getting more out of them. I think that in the run game, the Eagles had a lot of problems. They couldn't run the ball against those guys. And part of that is, Jamin Davis and the other linebacker, 57, and Mayo, all those guys, the way they run to the ball behind that big front. So that's a part of it. But when I look at how the Eagles play Washington, it's really attacking your cornerbacks.
Yes.
And that's where the Eagles had their success, because even when attacking the back end of your defense, and even when the safeties got involved, because of the skill level of the Dallas Goedert, the tight end, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith, these guys are one of the – I would say that they're one of the best trio of pass catchers the league has.
Yeah.
Hey, Tony, before you go on, let's stay right there, because he talked about the secondary. That seems to be a problem with this Commanders team right now, because – it was a 38-yard touchdown by Devontae Smith, wide open, Tony, in the secondary. Nobody even touched him. And this is not just one time that it's been breakdown where wide receivers are wide open and everything. And as Mike said, that's where Philadelphia came in and attacked them, and that's where they hurt them the most. But even the defensive front didn't play well enough to help those guys. Then you put Emmanuel Forbes against A.J. Brown out there that got cooked in the first meeting, and you put him out there again and again. To me, the defense, Jack Del Rio, what he's scheming up is not working for those guys in the secondary. But that wide open breakdown, anybody, what are you seeing there? Because this is not the first time. It's over and over, game in a game, where they've got guys that are just running free.
Well, and you did right about the defensive backs, because one thing that bothers me about them, just like you said about Forbes, he was getting burnt like toast. But every time he made a play, he jumping up, pointing and stuff. Don't do that. Don't do that. You got to play ball. And the other thing that I'm starting to watch with our defensive linemen, they all got particular moves that they like. And one of them is one of our defensive ends. I'm not going to say which one, but he loves to go upfield and then inside. And the quarterback always goes out. If you do your game plan, you figure that this quarterback always try to get out to his right to throw the ball. He was allowed to do that 2 times on Sunday. These are the kind of things that you have to fight against, that you have to know what you're doing. I also noticed that people are starting, if they see a player in the middle that he likes to swim and do a quick move, they're trapping that player and running up the middle. Just like I look at all these tendencies, Solomon, you saw this for years. Don't look like they're looking at all their tendencies right now.
Well, that's the thing that you said. They're not looking at things, but then I think it's on how they're actually getting coached up. It was interesting. One of the guys that one of the greats that they honored yesterday was Darryl Green. Yep. He was actually quoted today saying that he would love to offer a kid like Forbes help. I'm gonna continue to reiterate it. You have people like Tony McGee sitting around. You have people like Darrell Green. You do not want to get advice, and they're actually, if they're willing to help you, where I'm gonna be honest, the defensive front, I'm looking at the line. They do not play until the end of the play. What I mean by that is one player right now that plays to the end of the play on the defensive line, and that's Toohill. I watched why he's actually averaging a sack a game. He will play until the end of the play. The quarterback or the ball has to be dead or running out of bounds for him to stop. The rest of them, like my father said, they'll do one move, and once that move is stopped, they're pretty much stopped. Then I watched them start walking as the other player is making them running away, trying to score a touchdown where it's no hustle. And then as far as the back end, you know how I've been feeling about our corners. St. Jude gives up something big pretty much every week, where I'm feeling like if you do have a great like Darrell Green or a person like Tony McGee or a person like Charles Mann reaching out, Raven Caldwell to the linebackers, somebody reaching out to you saying, look, knowledge is for free. I just want to give it to you. You have to be willing to take that.
Yeah, but that's threatening to a coaching staff. That's the you have when you have guys, like the guys that you're mentioning. I saw Green yesterday, and he's a wealth of knowledge, and so are all the guys on this panel. But that is like for coaches, that's the worst thing that you could have. That they have someone in their building that's played the game first of all, and then dropping knowledge to a kid, and it's something different from what they're coaching them up for. Yeah, that's hard to do.
And that's
in other words, you're talking about they know they're under pressure, and that's why they're not letting us get in. But at the same time, I want to ask you something, G. And one thing Mike said is our defensive backs is what you would attack. So he saw something. When you look at our defensive backs, what do you see? Just like on that one play, I'm not a defensive backfield, but I also know there's a difference between a zone and a two-man. And I know that one, the cornerback is pushing it into the safety, and on that play, they pushed it into the safety and a cover two, and the safety went on the fake and went in the middle and left the guy wide open. That means that the defense isn't coordinated all the way right now. Do you see that?
To me, it seems like they're not talking with one another. Because like anything else, offensively and defensively, you can make some tweaks to what your defense is called. For example, you know what your cover two, but if you know that this person's going to lead you a certain way, and the safety understands that, they understand what you're doing. They have to talk to one another. I think the communication is not good right now, unfortunately.
Right.
And I think in practice, if you're going to play man at all, then you have to practice man against your best receivers. And they have great receivers. So, more one-on-one drills, at the end of the day, because when you put somebody on the island, like Mike loved to have a defensive back get on the island. I love to have a defensive back there on the island.
Yeah.
If you double team Mike, I guarantee you he took it as like an insult. If you didn't double team Mike, he took it as an insult. If you didn't double team me, I took it as an insult. You could put one person on me, I'm going to make you pay because I take it as an insult. Why don't you have at least two guys on me?
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, this is the way we think. So they got great receivers. If I'm gonna play man, especially with my young guy, I'm gonna let him play against the best receivers all day long and practice the whole week. Because already we already have the benefit of knowing where we're going and they don't.
Right.
That's why 101 is so hard because we know where we're going and they have no clue where we're going. So at the end of the day, so if I'm going to play decent for one-on-one, then I'm going to practice this one-on-one against great talent.
Clark, you're so right because when I watch this team, even before the game, I do homework just like I'm going to play the team. And so when I'm looking at Washington and watching them in the Giants game, I see the vertical passing game working for the Giants in the passing game. So I see these outside corners, they're getting beaten by guys that, quite frankly, they're just average wide receivers. And it was a vertical game. It was a stutter go. It was a double move and getting up the field on these corners when they're playing man coverage on the outside. So if I can see that, the coaching staff they see all of that. They spend a lot more time watching tape than I do. They know exactly where and when to attack in the vertical passing game, and that worked out for them.
Hey, Don,
Hey,
let me
Tony,
ask
it
you
was
this.
another play. It was another play with Mike. That 4th and 4, the Eagles had the ball on 4th and 4. They go for the first down. They don't throw the challenge flag either. And I go back to the communication also of this Commander's team as far as not being, Ron Rivera said he didn't call upstairs, and that would have given the Commanders the ball right there because the Eagles went back down and scored. But Mike, a quick thing, Jalen Hurts came in with a brace on his leg, and the Commanders didn't take advantage of that. You could tell throughout the whole game that he was struggling on that leg. He couldn't plant to throw and everything. They did, to me, defensively didn't scheme him up well enough to be effective of him. Are you surprised that the Commanders didn't attack him more, being that he was limping on one leg?
I think that they, in a way, did. They just didn't allow the run game to happen. He scrambled a little bit, but he wasn't effective running the ball, and normally he is. And over the past couple of weeks, because of that, he's not running as much. He's operating from the pocket a whole lot more.
So, and that's what they need. And I tell you what, we're going to take a break, but I need to say one thing before we go out with that. If you take a look at this defense, the coordination we're talking about, we're looking at different things. Donna, when we come back, I want you to tell me. You said the offensive line, they took 2 new guys and put them in there, and we saw a difference. Should we start thinking about that with the defensive backfield? When we come back from getting these snacks, matter of fact, I'm going to have a porterhouse in 1 minute. We'll be back in a moment.
What's up?
Let every member of our wonderful community know that I'm forever indebted to each and every one of them for 40 years of wonderful support. I'm eternally grateful for your love and friendship, Daryl Green, 28. I wanted to just serve my community, take care of my family, and be a normal human.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've done that. I've been able to do that. And then the unique part is, oh, by the way, I'm Daryl Green, I play for the Redskins. That's the funny part that's always been to me, that I know who I am. And then I walk out and people say, Daryl Green, like, that's funny to me because I know me. I know I'm just a little peanut, and I grew up with 4 brothers, 2 sisters, and I definitely couldn't get brand new and go back home. Like, hey man, I'm Daryl Green. Pow. Yeah, right, Daryl. My son said this. He said, Dad, what player has a play that goes with his whole life for 40 years? On their first game.
Yeah.
Not many. And I always hated it and despised it because I was always mad that y'all said I was fast when I was steady shutting guys down and y'all didn't mention that I could cover. Like, dude, I can cover. Y'all said, man, he's fast. Man, I can cover. So I got in the Hall of Fame because I can cover. Oh, plus I was fast.
Now, Daryl Green was right. A lot of people look at him because he ran a 4.2 40 that he could just run. But not only did he run, he hit, he covered, he did everything. You can take a look at prime time down there in Dallas. I don't know if he ever got a tackle during the year, but he covered everything like a blanket. So, when you take a look at that, and speaking of covering, okay, Don, I asked you a question before we went out. Do you change 2 defensive backs and leave them in?
You talking about changing people up? You need to change some of those defensive linemen up, basically, because some of them.
Wait, I didn't ask you about no defensive linemen. Stick to the subject. Don't be trying to get on my boys.
The change up, because if you're talking about changing up the offensive linemen, which it worked, you're talking about DBs and everything. You're thin right there, so you got to make some changes, maybe up front also, Tony, because the trade deadline is coming, so we know how the team is going to play out at the end of the week also. But I think that you've got to look at all areas. But another player that I want to throw in is Jamison Crowder, return man. They brought him back. This guy has been solid. I'm talking about the touchdown that he had stretching out, the target, learning the offense. He was instrumental because Curtis Samuels is out with an injury right now, so he was inserted right in and didn't miss a beat, Tony, also. And then special teams, only thing you can talk about is that 61-yard field goal that they made. It's the longest in Commanders history, Tony, but fans want to know what's going on with this team. So, Tony, we've got a new segment called the Fan Corner, and I'm going to let Solomon introduce the guest today.
What's going on? As we said, we wanted to reach out and see some of the real fans and actually get their opinion. And as you can see in the corner down here in the left next to the great Mike Quick, I have Daryl Johnson, also known as DJ. As you see, the old school Donovan McNabb, number 5 jersey with the old school Redskin weight belt and the W Commanders belt. DJ, welcome to the show. And I just want to know if you have a question for any one of these 3 individuals or even the great Donna Hopkins.
Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
First of all, thank y'all for having me. I appreciate you, Solomon. I appreciate you, Mr. McGee, and everybody that's on there. Mr. Clark, I've met you so many times. It's a pleasure seeing your face again. Mr. Quick, my nephew, who is an Eagles fan, would have loved you yesterday if he would have seen you. And I appreciate you, Ms. Hopkins. Pretty much, y'all said everything. You know what I mean? And it's like the first quarter was really the path that I hope they would have finished on. It seems like as of late, and this has been going on for years, we start gassing out leading up to the second half and going past the second half. And yeah, I heard everybody, on here saying that, yeah, at least we got 31. Well, I wish we would have gotten 38 or 45. You know what I mean? Because it's like, this is what makes me miss my Redskins, like Tony McGee, like Gary Clark. This is what makes me miss y'all, because y'all pretty much said it. There has to be some bridging of the gap between the legends, and as you can see, I got my championship belts because y'all used to being champions. Y'all used to being champions. So somewhere in that organization, whether it's the teams, whether it's the coaching staff, they really need to listen to y'all. It's not a matter of them being threatened. It's a matter of fact, are y'all winning right now? Are y'all winning right now? Are y'all at the level of excellence that the Redskins that I grew up on have? That's the thing. And pretty much y'all said it. It's a matter of having a strong O-line, a strong D-line, having the skill and the eyes to see who out there is open. The O-line need to make sure that they're protecting the quarterback. And in this case, Howes has to really show that he's at the improvement, whereas last year, and I'll say this, I refer to them as the TNT connection, which is Taylor and Terry, and I can go on all day talking about how much I miss Heineke, because I wish they would have stuck with him and worked more with him. But right now, this is who we have. And my thing is, we just need to really reevaluate what are our strong points in making sure, based on yesterday, how can they build on that to pursue being more of a stronger force for the next few games and definitely for the next season.
Now, who are
Hey,
you
Tony,
asking?
one of the fans, let me jump in here.
I'm sorry. I'm just throwing a comment. I didn't really have a general question because basically y'all really had said it, but but if y'all can at least had any thoughts about what my response was.
Well, one thing I want to throw out there, Tony, is that one of the other questions from the fans on Sunday is, does this Washington Commanders have the quarterback of the future, or should they be still looking ahead? Mike, also, you've seen this Washington team already twice, so anybody can jump in to answer that question. Does this Commanders team have the quarterback of the future?
I think that Daryl said the right thing. They got to evaluate the whole team. It's just not the quarterback. If the quarterback was out there playing by himself, we could say yes. He got an offensive line that's not protecting him. He got 41 sacks. Yeah, we got 31 points the other day, but you know why I said we didn't get 31? Because they gave us a few of them, and we took a few back. So you don't look at that. It's still a 30-point game. And I think the question that Daryl had is, does this team need to evaluate each and every position? And Solomon, I think you was out there and you saw the game on Sunday. I think they do need to evaluate, and it's not just the quarterback.
I feel like down the line, including the coaches, everybody just needs to take a step and get better and realize there's nothing wrong with saying we do need to get better. But this is the discouraging part, and I want to say DJ saw this, and so did the great Gary Clark. At the end of the game, it's hard to get better when you're happy that you got beat. Remember that. It's hard to get better when you're happy that you got beat.
Exactly.
I saw so many Eagle guys out there hugging our players and them hugging back, taking selfies. I saw Howell trading jerseys, and I guess that is the competitive spirit in me. And I watched Tony McGee's and Dexter Manley's and the great Monty Coleman's, the Darryl Greens. I watched them walk off not happy. The great Gary Clark's, I watched them walk off not happy. Even Mike Quick, when we would beat them, I didn't see him just going and doing flips and saying, great job. Where that's the thing about it, where I don't know that, like I said, I don't know what kind of team we have now, where I'm not trying to say like I'm trying to say have good sportsmanship, but as G-Man, what he saw, I saw so much excitement to lose at the end of the game. So I don't even know where to start with that.
That's a great point, because, that's why I opened the show that way. That I've never been involved with a good loss. Don't tell me about that. I played in over 200 games and had a lot of losses, but none of them were good. But Daryl, that was a great question. I want you fans to take a look at that, because we're going to start doing that. We want to hear what you got to say, what you got to ask. And Daryl, that says that you're astute in your observation of this team, because they do need to evaluate. But they don't just need to stop with the players. I leave that one right there. I may have stepped in something. But if you take a look at Daryl, you got any more questions you want to ask one of the gentlemen there, and make it quick?
Well, this will be real quick because it goes back to what you were saying, what even Solomon was saying. I remember years ago, a long time ago, when Dexter Manley was really fired up in this interview, and he was like, "Put this in writing." I can't remember everything, but I'm sure y'all remember that interview where Dexter Manley really was laying in. And the question that I have is basically, when you see people like Magic responding and people like some of the players that are responding, it's like, do they really want to continue this path? What will it take for them to stop having these kind of interviews where they finally stop saying we got to do better, but we are better?
And they'll stop those interviews when they do get better. That'll stop all that right away. But Daryl, I want to thank you for coming on for the question. All you fans that want to be a part of this is Donna. We're going to be doing this each and every week. So we'll have Paul put it up on the screen where they can get in touch with us next week. We're going to choose questions each and every week. Donna had 3 more, but we wanted to make sure the super fan got it here. He got all the stuff on. Only thing I've heard about Daryl,
hey, he represented. Hey, don't come weak. As you see, my man came ready with the apparel. And I'm going to be honest, he does have a lot of pictures with some of the great ones, because he is noticed a lot with his apparel that he wears. So if you are a fan, we want to get with you, but make sure you come in strong.
Yeah, because 2 people just now was already taking photos of me while I was waiting.
All right.
He put out the Redskins.
Well, I tell you what, Daryl, you did a great job. And fans, start watching this next week. We'll have a number or something on there for you to get in touch, and we'll start picking out fans. We're going to do it for the rest of the season. Maybe we can get some good ideas and take them over to the Washington team. We'll be back in a moment.
Hey Hey guys, I'm back again, Pro Fitness for Everyone. Today is going to be a great day for us and for everybody because we got 5-0 right here. There you go. Got good form too, Shorty. I like that. You've been working out with somebody, huh?
Hopkins Gym.
That's good. You make my job easier. What you count?
18.
You gonna be able to break at 20? Oh, you gonna, okay, I got it. I see that look. Man, I hope I got that face. I love it. Man, you a beast. Said you might earn some water with this one. What's your count?
35.
35?
Yeah, this is 35 right here.
Damn, are you serious?
Yep.
All right, come on. Hey, you got to do this, girl. Normally people stop. You are beasting this out. It's a straight beast, y'all. Any guy, any girl, man, 50 straight. That's tough. Come on, yes. Don't quit now. What you got?
40.
Oh, you got 10 more. We got this, shorty. What's up? Come on, huh? Uno. And you go take your time, huh? 2. This is all you, shorty. Man. You don't need me. That's 3. 7 more. Come on, you got it. Man, I don't understand this right here. This is straight. And Tony, if you watching this, you see this right here? Bruh, you couldn't do this. Matter of fact, I challenge you to do this. One more, right? Wow. You got it. Dude. 5-0. 50. Straight.
Well, another great fitness tip from Ricky Irvin says he worked me out doing arm curls. I couldn't move my arms for 2 days, but you know what? Let's go around the NFL because there's a lot to talk about. Let's start with the NFC East. The Giants made a major trade just this week as far as their defensive end, Leonard Williams. Everybody seems to be looking at defensive linemen right now. But when you look at this NFC East and everything, you got the Cowboys and the Eagles playing this coming week. How does it all play out for you? Who's the strong team right now? I know the Eagles are one loss, but the Commanders have fallen off. The Giants have fallen off. But is this just two front runners as far as the Cowboys and the Eagles? Anybody can jump in.
Mike, let Mike answer. He got the number one team.
Hey, Mike, you got the number one team is the Eagles. How much better are they this year than last year? Or is there a drop-off, being that they've got a new defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator? Jalen Hurts, hasn't kicked into full gear yet, or this team.
Yeah, that's what I think about the team. That it's a real talented team. They are not quite what they were at this time last year. They were undefeated this time last year and running a lot smoother. I think they may be a little bit more talented this year, though. And I think that they haven't really hit their stride yet. I think defensively, they're just coming together. They played a different group on the back end all 8 games. So it's been a different combination in the secondary all 8 games. Offensively, I think they're still getting there. They've got the best record. The Eagles have only played 2 teams in the NFC East, or 2 games. Both those games were against Washington. We know how hard the NFC East is, and regardless of your record in the NFC East, it's going to be a dogfight. You're going to come out of that game with less bodies than you went into the game with. That's just the way it is in the NFC East.
Hey, Tony, the Cowboys, what do you see them right now? I mean, they dominated on Sunday as far as that win. Now they've got to face the Eagles team in Philadelphia. I think that game. How do you see the quarterback right now? How do you see the Cowboys right now? Are they real contenders?
They're contenders, but at the same time, if you take a look at them, they got a lot of holes that they need to fix. I think this game right now is going to let the world know where they are. And Eagles have to watch. Mike can tell you right now, they got about 4 games in a row that's going to be very, very tough. So right now, this NFC East may be tough at the end. Right now, what is going to happen? Dallas is going to show us, is it all talk or all walk? And with them, it's more like dresses. I'm through with it. I'm out.
Well, let's talk about who's out. Minnesota Vikings, Kirk Cousins is out for the season with an Achilles injury. How does that affect this team moving forward? Solomon, how do you see the Vikings right now with no Kirk Cousins right now? He pulled his Achilles late in the fourth quarters. So moving forward with the Vikings, what's the story?
Actually, I don't think it's a story unless they move in the direction that they were saying about possibly getting Colt McCoy. Their offense definitely relies on somebody that's in the pocket and has the pocket presence, and that's what actually Kirk brought to the table. Unless they go get RG3, but that's a whole nother day.
Why did you bring his name up? They're not getting him.
Exactly, but I just feel like sometimes get back is a get back, and I feel like he was drafted that year, and they both. That's just a whole nother story, like I said. But at this point, I feel like maybe if they can get something with Colt McCoy going, but far as the Vikings, I feel like losing Kirk Cousins, because I feel like that's what we're actually going through also as a ball team. If you lose the main quarterback, what is your backup? And that's the thing that I'm scared about with us is like, okay, if we do lose Howe or something does occur, is the next person ready, or do we have enough backups ready to be able to step in? I think that's what Minnesota's running into right now with losing Kirk Cousins.
So we got one
Gary,
more down to get you one more in. We got 1 minute.
Well, let me go here as far as the Ravens. The Ravens to me is on a run. Pittsburgh, in that Titans and Pittsburgh game coming up, both of them may have their starting quarterbacks gone. So when you look at that division as far as the Ravens and the Steelers and even the Bengals coming up and the Browns, how does that all play out? How do you see the Ravens right now, Gary and Alex, as far as dominating that division? And Pittsburgh is a must-win for them this coming week.
I don't think we got a whole enough time for that because they're going to have to explain a lot. Maybe y'all going to have to do that. Come on with it, G.
I'll explain next week.
Well, it might be too late next week.
Yeah, Donnie, they got to tell a lot about that. You put them on the spot there, but I tell you, when we come back, we only got a minute, but we're going to still try to answer those two questions because they were very good questions. But we just have to pay some sponsors. We'll be back in a moment.
In the Minute with Tony and Donna. You can catch them weekly on their podcast, and you can also subscribe to their YouTube channel, In the Minute.
Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus Speakers Bureau offers you various opportunities to connect with former and current players along with Tony and the crew. For more information, go to redmagplus.com Speakers Bureau.
One more thing.
39 years. Not many shows can claim a streak like that, but Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus sure can. Tony McGee, a burgundy and gold legend on the field and for decades now on the air, is once again excited to bring his one-of-a-kind program to his legion of fans across the Mid-Atlantic. How to last so long? By always delivering unique, insightful, entertaining, and oh yeah, fun, lots of fun, week in and week out. Tony's cast includes the legendary Gary Clark, the impeccable Donna Hopkins on the Burgundy and Gold beat for decades now, as well as icons from Washington football, past and present, not to mention the Pro Football Hall of Famers who flock to Tony's show year in and year out. There is not a show dedicated to football fans like this one, and the proof is in the almost 4 decades that Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus has been the go-to stop for fans who want content that only Tony and crew can deliver. This season promises to be yet another exciting one for the team, the league, the show, and its fans, and we want you to be a part of it. There are sponsorship opportunities to fit your business's goals, 30 and 60-second targeted commercial spots, weekly segments dedicated to promoting your brand, on-air guest opportunities for you to share your company's mission, and so on. We'd love to discuss tailoring a sponsorship program that is just right for you, both in scope and in cost. For sponsorship opportunities, call 703-282-0792 or email info@rednatplus.com. Be a part of this historic season on this historic show, Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus. 39 years and the millions of viewers over those years can't be wrong.
Look at our picks. I think we all did a little better last week. Alex, we took that first place away from him. Thank all you guys for being here. Mike, you're always favorite. And look at the cool man here. And we got the big Zoe. And we got Alex and Donna. We'll be back next week. But one thing these players need to know, you don't play for applause. You play for a cause. And that's what they're going to have to do. And they'll get better. So as we say here on the show, we never say goodbye. We say in the minute.